Let's take a look at creating a sculpting model out of this multiple part model. And the way you're going to do that is by using Boolean functions to join these different objects together, and then using retopolization to smooth out the seams that will occur between the different unions of these objects. To start with, use the Boolean function by selecting a body part and shift click on the next one, going under Mesh Boolean Union. And you're going to repeat that, shift clicking, and use the G key to repeat the last command. Click, shift click G until all the body parts are unioned together. And unioning isn't grouping, it's actually restitching together the vertices of your object. So if you go inside the knee and you scroll and maneuver around, you can see that now it's not separate pieces, but it's one seamless mesh. Boolean functions are very destructive, and that's why you might want to try different applications to see if they have a better result. But for the most part, as long as your model doesn't explode and everything seems to stitch together, this is a good start. And again, if you didn't like your results here, try it in Blender, try it in 3D Studio Max, and see if a particular model does better in that application. Now that everything has been unioned together, I'm going to go to Edit Delete by Type History. Don't need all that history, and I'll call this Character 1. So retopolization is looking at the model and reorganizing the mesh that goes on the model to be smoother, less dense, or even more dense if that's what you're looking for. I'm going to cut my model in half because cutting your model in half, besides saving 50% of the work, it also helps create symmetry later on when the model is brought back together. So on the face level, I selected all those faces, and I'll press the delete key. And you can see how I wasn't perfect here. That's because I didn't do this from a side viewport. Press the space bar and pick the front viewport. Scroll on out, zoom out, and try it again. So using a viewport that's straight on helps with this process. Now, everything might not be perfect, like maybe there isn't a perfect stitching of this. That's okay. It can be fixed a little later on. I'll start with this though. Right click Object Level. And let me go back to the perspective viewport. End goal is to be able to sculpt across here. We could start sculpting across here. It's not terrible, these seams. But we could do something a little bit better than this. Mesh, retopolize, and open up the properties box. Target face count. How many faces do you want this model to be in the end? If I select a 400, it will be a very good low polygon character. You might lose the features that you're looking for. Let me start out with something like 1500. And click Apply. And then wait. 3 minutes later, we get the model completely retopolized, and if it looks a little low density here, well, you could go back and undo what you just did and then choose a higher face count. I will be showing a different process that will work a lot quicker, but it would involve opening up 3D Studio Max. It's very few steps in 3D Studio Max, but that's yet another application. So if you're looking to retopolize totally in Maya, you'll have to put up with a 3 to 4 minute wait time to get your model back. Anyway, continuing with this one, if I didn't like how it turned out, well, undo, then click Apply and wait another 3 or 4 minutes. And about 4 minutes later, here's the model. I have a lot more detail than I did before. So I feel happier with this result. Now it's very important to do edit delete by type history. So anything else that you do after this, Maya isn't recalculating and reapplying the retopolization. So edit delete by type history, which is this button. And now I'm going to mirror this back so it's a whole character. Selecting the object, going under Mesh, Mirror. And you can open the property box to choose the axis to mirror across. I want to mirror across the x-axis, so x here, and I'll click Apply. And that's all I had to do. If you need to tweak your mesh being it didn't look totally symmetrical, or you want to just play with it, you could drag this axis to make the character narrow and weird and wider like this. So you can use mesh mirroring to do some adjustments. Now, eventually it'll break apart. Pick a good spot for your mesh mirror, and then do another edit delete by type history to apply this. Let's look at the seams. So pretty much, we don't have those sharp seams anymore, and that was the purpose of retopolizing this object. Now you're ready to sculpt on this object. Before we get there, watch the next video on how to do retopolization in 3D Studio Max, just in case you want an alternative that works a little quicker and you just like to explore other 3D applications. And then we'll get back to sculpting.